Hello everyone! Welcome once again to an episode of I've Been Playing. Today we're going to be taking a look at Assassin's Creed Odyssey. Now, obviously, as you know, the Assassin's Creed series is massive, and I have played most of them, but I am still catching up on a few that I've missed. I'd say I've played at least half of the series, but Assassin's Creed Odyssey is one of the ones I've missed, so that is what I've been playing this past week or so. And if you don't know, you may be able to guess from the name that this particular one is set in Greece. It is also, I believe, as of right now, the penultimate in the series, coming right after Assassin's Creed Origins, which I have played, and right before Assassin's Creed Valhalla, which I have yet to. And while they have already kind of shifted gears into a more RPG-oriented gameplay focus, this one I think is where they kind of expanded it even more than they did in Assassin's Creed Origins, as there are dialogue options and mainly the main difference I want to say so far. Obviously it's a massive game, I haven't gotten that far in it, but the main difference between Assassin's Creed Origins and this one I'm seeing is the dialogue options, and well actually, no, I take that back. There's also the chance to choose which character you play as, either Alexios or Kassandra, and obviously I chose Kassandra because obviously, she's awesome, and she's definitely also muscle goals, let me tell you. And I'm not even a person who likes exercise that much. Now, obviously, the RPG elements of Assassin's Creed Origins that have carried over into this one are kind of, I feel like, where the series kind of probably lost a lot of people, but also probably gained a lot of people as well. I like all of the Assassin's Creed I've played. I'm not saying they're all fantastic or that all of them necessarily hold up for whatever reason at this point, but I kind of prefer the RPG style to the original style of Assassin's Creed because I prefer the side quests and stuff that you can get in this RPG format, and a lot of the collectible stuff. It's a lot more fun to me, the setup they have now as opposed to the setup they had before, because a lot of the collection stuff and the completionist stuff, if you wanted to do it in the previous games, especially in the first one, and I think it's one of the second ones, one of the ones in the second trilogy that is confusingly named. It's like collecting flags, it's collecting feathers, and you're basically just running around parkouring all over the town and collecting this stuff, which, I mean, that's fun. That's the appeal of the Assassin's Creed series, is the parkour and stuff, but they're just so randomly dotted around the map and there's no real way to track them down unless you have the patience for that sort of thing, and I lack the patience for that sort of thing, so I appreciate the RPG focus of these, and I liked Assassin's Creed Origins as well because it's much more, I don't want to say generic Western RPG kind of stuff, but it is more clearly mapped out what you need to collect where stuff is, what you found, what you haven't, and just even if the side quests get a little samey sometimes because you're doing the same sorts of things or you're collecting the same sorts of things, just the different setup is easier for me because it's easier to keep track of. Also, in this one, you can unlock a Spartan kick, which is amazingly fun and ridiculously hilarious if you get to kick somebody off of a cliff or a ladder or a tower. It's just hilarious. Endless entertainment from kicking people off of things, and I am so glad that I had decided to unlock that early, because of course I did it, because I want to kick people off of cliffs. Now, as I did mention, I haven't played too much of this, and my one complaint, I think, with how they've switched up the RPG and the size of, oh my god, the size of the map, it's ridiculous. I feel like I'm never going to get through all of this, and it's one of the type of games that, like, I would like to be a completionist about it, because sometimes, you know, it depends on the game, it depends on how easy it is, it depends on how much I like the game, or some combination of the two. I think I've talked about that in one of my other episodes, but this is one of those ones where I think I 100%ed the map in Origins, if I remember correctly. I'd like to do that one in this as well, do that in this one as well. But there's so much more stuff. The map is incredibly massive, and it's only going to get more massive in Valhalla, I have a feeling. And there's just stuff everywhere, there's stuff to collect, there's stuff to do, there's so many islands. I've only just gotten off the first island, and like I've already played the game for like 10 hours. It took like 10 hours to get to the title screen. It's ridiculously enormous, and I'm renting this one, and that's my problem. I want to get through the game as quickly as possible so I can send it back and somebody else can get it, and I can get a new game and stuff like that, but I also want to take my time with it because I want to collect as much as possible, and like, I do not have enough time in my day anymore because I am old to do all of this stuff unless I lose even more sleep than I already do on a regular basis. So that is not so much a complaint about, I don't know. maybe it is a bit of a complaint about the game. The fact that there's so much stuff to do, I appreciate having a lot of stuff to do, but there gets a point where it's just kind of ridiculous, and I feel like because of how powerful the machines and stuff are at this point, it's getting to that point, like, no one has this kind of time. Much as I love these types of games, no one has that kind of time. And normally I talk about the story of the games I'm playing, but because I'm not all that far in, I don't really know what I can say about it. I do obviously know more or less what the story is up to this point, but there's so much of it I haven't explored yet because I've just gotten off the first island that I'm not really sure where it's going or what exactly it's going to entail in the future, because it's, even without doing all the side quests and stuff, it's a massive game, so I don't know, you know, what even to speculate on necessarily. But right now, you know, to get into the story a little bit, I was originally from Sparta, and then circumstances arose where now I live on a different island and have lived there most of my life because I got, let's say, kicked out of Sparta, to leave whatever spoilers out of this that I possibly can. And I've been growing up there most of my life as Kassandra. And essentially, I've been doing work as a mercenary. Mystios is what the Greek word is, which I'm sure I said with a terrible accent, so I apologize. But that's basically what you've been doing. You've been, you were kind of partners with this person, Marcos, who saved you when you shipwrecked initially, and you've been living with him ever since you got shipwrecked. So you're kind of the almost debt collector, it seems like. It seems like that's a lot of what you do for this guy, because, or at least in the time of the game where you start, you're collecting a lot of debts or just trying to deal with his money situations, basically. And eventually, you know, you get through all that, you get through that portion of the game on that first island, and then somebody shows up and wants you to kind of go interfere in the war that's happening between the Spartans and the Athenians, and then, sort of massive spoiler here, the first one that he wants you to go target is your father. And that, more or less, is where I am in the game, which is not all that far in at all. And, like, it's a surprising amount of stuff has happened in that first chunk of the game. As I said, it's took me, like, between 8 and 10 hours. Maybe I was exaggerating a little bit, but a long time to get to that first title screen as I was sailing away from that first island. But that's where I am now. I'm trying to, basically, I've sided with the Spartans, at least temporarily, and you have to decrease the power of the people, the Athenians, I suppose, in one specific area of the map that you're leveled up enough to, you know, encounter stuff in. And that way you can talk to, he's the Wolf of Sparta, I believe, and you have to help the Spartans in order to do that, because otherwise he won't meet with you because you're not famous enough, basically, is the general gist of what is going on right now where I am in the game. So yeah, that's about it. I think you can tell from that I am enjoying the game quite a bit. As I said, it's a little too, there's almost too much stuff to do. I don't know if I'm going to be able to complete all of it just because I don't have the time, and as I said, I'm renting it, so it's not like I can, you know, pop in and out every once in a while. I kind of have to go at it and just get the game done as quickly as possible. So we'll see how invested I am in collecting absolutely every little thing there is in the game. But I am enjoying it so far. The combat is a little more complicated, I want to say, or it feels a little more complicated than Assassin's Creed Origins, although it has been a little while since I've played that one, so I could be wrong. But there is some parrying stuff, there's some combat abilities that are linked to buttons that I keep getting confused, and I keep trying to, like, I feel like there has to be a run button, but I feel like I don't know what it is, or I forgot because there are so many other buttons happening, but obviously there's a sneak button and all of that sort of stuff. You can kind of choose between stealthing and assassinating and just fighting people straight out, but obviously it's Assassin's Creed, so that's the better route to go if you can manage it. So I don't know, I don't feel like I am getting along with combat completely, but it is fun to do most of the time, even though I am still also kind of dying because I keep getting overwhelmed because, you know, something will spot me when I don't expect it, and then I get swarmed by people. But I'm having a lot of fun with it, and obviously if you're a fan of the Assassin's Creed series, you're probably gonna like this one, unless you disliked how they did the RPG elements, in which case you probably aren't, and you probably prefer the earlier games, which is fine. The only one I honestly have not liked that I've played is Assassin's Creed 3, which I kind of feel like is the opinion of most people, but Assassin's Creed 3 was kind of boring. But I like Kassandra, I like the dialogue options, and I'm enjoying my time with the game so far. But those are my thoughts thus far after playing the game for, you know, only a few hours. Let me know what you think of this installment in the series. Do you like the RPG stuff that they've been doing recently, or do you prefer the older Assassin's Creeds? Have you never played? Do you think there are too many of them? Which, That's a fair point, there are a lot of them at this point. What are your thoughts just on the series in general? Let me know in the comments down below. I hope you enjoyed this. Leave a like if you did. I do one of these every Monday, or almost every Monday, so you can check some of those out in the description below, as well as some of the other stuff I do on my channel. And if you like any of that, consider subscribing. That'd be awfully nice. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.